Hello and welcome to an all-new Max Chroma video. In this video I'm going to be showing you guys some updates I've been working on, and really a lot of stuff needs to be put into video, but let's just start right with the DTF Auto Prepper Halftone RIP 1.2.5 update, and it now includes the Max Chroma Screen Tone DTF, which is a standalone program. We're going to go over that in this video, and I'm going to show you guys, if you're on the payhip.com/Max Chroma web store, this is one of the products I have for sale. Everything right now, 7/27/2024, and I'll keep this going for a couple of weeks at least, is going to be on sale 50% off as I start doing all the videos that are really necessary to show you guys everything that's new, everything that's been here for the free collection, the Photo Tessellator Pattern Pack 1 for free, the Max Chroma DTF Auto Prepper, Halftone RIP Actions, everything that comes with that, and all the other updates to the other products. So getting right into the DTF Auto Prepper, originally is a Photoshop action, and that action basically helps you prepare artwork for the direct-to-film process or digital transfer film, where you print things onto t-shirts using a heat transfer, and when you inkjet print, you can't really do fades, or the glue that is applied to the pattern to the image can't really do fades, so it has to have a halftone pattern or some other way to just have, either on or off, like 100% ink or no ink being printed. And so the actions I made for this sort of help with that process. Over the past year or more, I've been updating those actions to have a whole bunch of other things included in them. So what we're going to do is go over that. The original video was pretty much just this stuff, where it's like a couple of buttons and it was just showing a few examples. What I've done now is added a whole new standalone program that you can use for this, but it's not like it has all of the features of Photoshop. So, what I'm trying to offer here is that you don't have to have Photoshop now to do some of this, but Photoshop obviously has all these other things that make it the program that it is. And if someone's, paying for their Adobe subscription, they usually get a lot of other programs as well. You can generate images with the AI now in Photoshop. So we're going to show all the things the actions can do, but also what I'm trying to accomplish with the standalone program. And there's things included in it now like the photo halftone effects. And so I'm going to show you guys, when you purchase this product, you'll get a download button or a download page, and it'll be emailed to you as well. So you want to keep this, it says a link to this page has been sent to your email address. You want to keep this page, so, bookmark it, save it, write it down or something, or just keep it in your favorites. And that way you can continue to come to this and you get free updates. So anytime I change one of the products, and I basically am always doing that, I'm always improving and continuously updating to the products I have here, as well as putting a lot more free stuff out that we got to go over in some videos. But for the DTF Auto Prepper, that thing has now got a lot more than it originally came with. So I'm going to show you guys in this video, first, all the stuff you get and how to download it and start installing it. And so in this particular video, also I'm going to be using the latest version of Photoshop. So I've got it updated to 25.11. Let me look at that again. 25.11.0 release. All right. And so let me just go ahead and download. The first file that's there is the DTF Auto Prepper 1.2.5 ATN. That's the action file. So we'll download that. And then the Max Chroma Photo Tessellator patterns.pat file. Download that. Realtime halftones.zip. So this is a whole folder with some other actions in it. Extra tools.zip. Download that. Pattern packs, that's additional patterns now that are coming with the program. Screen Tone DTF, and then this one, sometimes if you download this on your computer and it gives you some sort of warning about it, obviously there's nothing in there that's bad, but it's usually because there's an installer file, an executable file in there. Some browsers and some systems will warn you about it. So if you can bypass the warning, you should just be able to download it. Let me know if you still have trouble or if you want me to give you a direct link to it. The Max Chroma Auto Prepper 1.2.0 pack. So that was all the stuff that was updated from the older versions. Includes all the other stuff in the package that you might need. So that's a whole zip file as well. Then we have old versions 1.2.0 to 1.2.4, and old versions from like the original 1.0. The reason I'm doing this is because some of the videos on the channel are going to be about just that 1.0 version or the 1.0.8 version. And as I update the product and make changes along the way, it's kind of like I don't want you to never be able to access that. You should always be able to use the older versions. You might just want the one that's very simple, like I was showing you in this this image right here. You know, there was one that just had a few buttons, I think the 1.0 version. And so that one's relatively simple compared to the newest one. It's a little bit more complicated. It has a lot more features, but it could be seen as more complicated. So let's just go ahead and look at this whole list of things we got now. And we can see that we got the action file, the patterns file, and then these zip folders. The better way to do this is to just take one of these zip folders like the real-time halftones, and if you double click, it looks like you go into it, but it's not really extracted. So in Windows, you would want to do extract all, and it'll put it in its own folder. So we could do extract it like that, and then it'll put these things into their own folder here. Let me go ahead and look at it. Okay, so now we can go to this folder, real-time halftones, and you can see there is a Photoshop file, a Photop action file, and a regular action file. We'll go over those in you know, either this video or just split into parts, a future video in this series. The pattern packs, we do the same thing. We could right-click, extract all, and just do that here, so it goes into its own folder. Screen tone DTF, we can right-click and extract all. So I'm just showing you guys how to get all this stuff downloaded and set into extracted from the zip folders. And then the old versions, right now we don't need to do that one. Same with these, but I might as well just to show you what's in it. We'll do extract all. The Auto Prepper 1.2.0 pack, that one's going to really have the most stuff in it. Some things we will want to access when using the latest version. And then this one, the old versions. Okay, but to get started, when I have Photoshop opened, all I need to do, and I'm going to maybe look at this once it's all completed, we'll look at these, and we might organize it, and I'll show you how to keep track of this stuff if you want. So I'm going to maybe sort by name, and I think I'm going to do a new folder, and we'll say zips, like that. And I'm just going to get all these zip folders and drag them into there. So that gets those kind of out of the way. So the old versions, we can see, is just got 1.0.1, 1.1.2, and 1.0.8. And we can have, let's see, 1.2.0 through 1.2.4 there. But really, 1.2.5 is the latest version. That's what I'm going to show you. If you have Photoshop open, all you need to do is just double-click this file, or you could drag it in there and it'll actually install the actions. Or if you want to be sure about how it works, you go to Window, Actions, and usually you just have a default actions loaded. Okay, and if it looks like it's in a folder like this with these different actions written out this way with these arrows, that's just because it's not in button mode. You can click on these little lines up here, go to button mode, and then you'll see everything appears as buttons. We can move this around like in the window, and the buttons will just rearrange. Sometimes it's better to have them in a vertical arrangement like that. And we can even take the actions panel, instead of it being like a button by itself that opens up the actions panel, you can have it nestled in over here. You can open it up like that, and you can sort of arrange it this way. So the actions panel is where this file will install. But what we can do is turn it off of button mode, and then I would be able to select the action itself. All these default actions are like in a folder here, and I can go down to the trash icon at the bottom and delete it. Okay, and again, that's part of this panel here. So the trash button in this panel. Now there's no actions loaded. If you close Photoshop and reopen it with no actions, it'll load the default ones again. Just, it's basically by default. But if we have our own set loaded, so I go to this Auto Prepper 1.2.5, now that's in my downloads folder now. So I can actually go to the the Actions panel, click on these buttons here, and do Load Actions. So this is how I would manually load it. And I'll go to the Downloads folder and see that action file right here, and then click Load. So that loads these in, and you can see there's a lot to them. If I even expand this, I'd have to scroll all the way down to see everything that's included in the new update. And then we could go to this button mode, and really it's easier if you just narrow it all down and maybe snap it into the side here. And so now in button mode, I can see and scroll down and see all these actions, and they're set into little groups kind of by these ones with just the equal signs and the lines, and there's little headings to tell you about it. So DTF Auto Prepper version 1.2.5. And again, if I go to out of button mode, I can look at this action set and just collapse it like a folder, and I can use this little trash icon. And again, this is just the panel by itself. Okay. We could select all of those actions and hit the trash button and delete them. And that's a way to just manage the actions that you have loaded in any one time. What I can do is show you, again, it's quite easy if you don't even want to go through that manual process. We downloaded all the files. The Max Chroma DTF Auto Prepper 1.2.5 is the one. I can just double click it, and because I had Photoshop open, you see how it actually automatically put it right in there, right? And let's say I'll trash the thing again, so delete it. I can also drag this in, and there you go, it goes in. Okay, so now that that's installed with the action file, go to button mode. I'm gonna collapse this over here, so it's just like one column. And what we can do is use the patterns. You don't have to have the patterns installed for most of these normal halftoning operations, but only when you want to use the custom halftones, custom patterns. So with just the pattern file one here, this .pat, the same thing. I can go through manually in Photoshop, go to Window. There is no longer in the newer versions a preset manager under the brushes. There's actually a dedicated patterns manager. And so in the patterns panel, I don't have anything loaded right now, but this is where it'll get loaded. And I can, again, manually go here to click on this and do import patterns. And I can go to downloads and see that patterns file, double click it or hit load. And there it is. I can click on it and hit the little trash icon to delete it. Same thing works if I drag it in. Okay. And if I take the patterns file when Photoshop is open and running, and I just double click it, and it should essentially install to Photoshop. I think that works that way. Let me see what's happening. Maybe not. Maybe double clicking the patterns file. Oh yes, oh it did. I did it twice. I just didn't wait for it to operate or something. So let's just delete that one and delete this one. We'll just double check that that works here. Double click, and it goes in. Okay. Now I can look at these patterns and see what is in that pattern pack. Usually you don't have to do it until it runs one of the buttons in the action and asks you to pick one. But I'm just going to close that, set it off to the side. Let's get some sort of artwork that we're going to work with to do this. So let's do File, New. And I'm just going to start with a 10-inch by 10-inch document at 300 dpi. Hit Create, Transparent Background. And I think we're going to use the Adobe Generate Image to try to make something to use the, the actions on. And this is obviously something that's in Photoshop now with the newer versions. And if you have a cloud account, I think you'll be able to use this. So I really just want to make something simple, Owl Cthulhu wearing headphones and sunglasses on a black, fading into a black background. And we'll do art, and we'll say no reference image effects. I don't really want to get into too much of it right now with the AI stuff. We'll just let it do whatever here. Generate. Okay, so I'm just doing this to give us something to work with. I could have gone through tons of test images I had and all that, but it's fun to just show you guys the difference between, you can't actually tell the AI to give you the half-toned part of it. So it's going to make the pixels that are just normal pixelation that blend into the background fade out into it like that. And what we also want to do is, and let's see, I got a few options to pick from. I like that one. I like this one too, though. I like this one. This one's pretty cool. So I'm going to just go with that, and I'll actually flatten the image. So flatten it. And what happens is it didn't really make it a black background. So for one, this is a good thing to show you. And if you just use the black background button, it's actually not going to fade it out correctly. So when we go to have an image like this, and we just pick, and I'll show you guys now, in the sections of the action, we're going to have the first section here is transparency. And this would be if you already have some transparency in the image, or you want to add the transparency in manually before doing any of the half-toning stuff. And so I'm going to skip that section right now. Also going to skip the real-time halftone section. And we're just kind of going over the original way that it worked with things like the prep for black shirt, white shirt, custom shirt 1, custom shirt 2. Again, it's just like these buttons: prep for transparency, prep for black shirt, white, custom 1 and 2. And so if we were doing the full auto mode and we just did DTF prep for black shirt, the problem is it's not going to stop and let me adjust any levels settings to that background. And it's basically just going to go through and half-tone the artwork based at the size we were at, 10 by 10 inches, put it over a black background, okay? But what it did was it left halftones all in this area here, okay? And those halftones are basically, it's because the background wasn't 100% black. It was like this sort of blue color, right? Dark, dark blue. So we wouldn't want to use this to make the print because you'd have these little blue dots everywhere, right? And also, when you do the black halftoning, it sort of halftones a lot of the artwork. It takes the shading out of everything. So there's no more shading in the art at all. One of the things you could do is, let's just maybe close this file right here. And again, I want to check my image size. It's 10 by 10, 300 dpi, okay. What we want to do is try the DTF prep for black shirt under user choice. So there's this other section, user choice, right here. And then custom patterns is the one that actually lets you pick the pattern custom. The user choice one will let you do round or line or other type of halftones, but not all the other custom ones. If we do user choice, DTF prep for black shirt, it will stop and let me basically adjust the levels of the image. So I could make this black. If I want this to be black, I could click on the little black eyedropper. This is in the levels panel that opens up. Click the black eyedropper and click that. And it may set it automatically like that, you see. And then it forces that to be the black point. So now if I hit OK, that should work. And it'll let me pick the size. It'll let me adjust levels more. So let's say I don't want to take out that much. I could keep more by making this brighter of the artwork, and then make sure I cut out that stuff. Hit OK. It's going to let me choose which resolution I want. Because I'm in the user choice one, it's going to stop for all these settings. And choose halftone screen. Hit OK. It defaults to 30 lines per inch and 45 degrees. We could maybe change the angle or the lines per inch. The shape, again, like I said, it could be round, diamond, ellipse, line, square, or cross. But you can't pick a custom pattern there. Let's just hit OK. And we'll see the difference. Now it's basically not had any of those dots out in the background area. And it's given us a lot more of the artwork. Doesn't take the black halftones out of all this stuff. The only thing is it definitely brightens the image up compared to the original. You see how it takes the shading out basically completely? And that's because I adjusted those levels during the operation of it. So that's how to maybe adjust from the original that doesn't have a full background. Actually, this is the original. That has not a completely black background. You can still use the DTF prep for black shirt under the user choice if you do those settings. But what I prefer to do is keep some of the shading in the art. And so that's where I'll use, even under full auto, DTF prep for custom shirt 1. It will stop and then let you have to pick a color for the shirt color. So I've clicked now in the background area, and then I can change this fuzziness, which lets me keep more of the shades of the art there. You know, if I do this all the way up, it'll cut a lot of it out again. But if I put this fuzziness down lower, it'll keep more of the shading in the art. So I hit OK. And now it's converted to the halftones, but you see it keeps everything looking a lot more intact, basically like the same shades that it was before. But now it's just cut some of that stuff out to halftones. And you can see that it puts the original shirt color behind it all. If I make a new shirt color layer, let's go to like this, and then turn this artwork on. Or sometimes you can change this color to like the film color, sort of like a gray, see like what you'd be looking at on the film. And we can see there's a little bit of stuff out here that maybe it didn't get rid of completely. And so I might want to run it again and remove that stuff more, like change the fuzziness a little bit more. But let me show you, you get more options when you do the user choice. So let me close that. Now if we go to the user choice one, instead of the full auto one, user choice for custom shirt 1, I can click this, and maybe, you know, instead of having it be like all that stuff is there, I might want to take a little bit more of it out. But I can see some of it's still going to show up. Hit OK, but now it gives me a chance to adjust the levels, so we could cut it out more doing that. You can kind of see if I move this down, you see all that stuff that I didn't want from the last time. So basically, if I were to move this level point down here over, it'll cut that out. So I just want to keep this stuff intact, and then maybe just cut this out a bit, and then move this here. Hit OK. And then this one will stop and let us pick the sizing, the resolution, all that. Okay, so now it's kept all of this shading in the art. So it'll reproduce that by putting some black into the printing. And then you're only knocking out the darkest parts of that shirt color area. And we can put a solid color layer in to show you, just like that. So then that's what you would be printing on the film. And in this new version, you can even make your own custom whites. So we'll scroll down past this full halftoning section. There's a white underlay options, and we could do generate solid white, choke 1. Okay, that just created a new solid white layer, and I had to be selecting on the original artwork layer. Now that created a white solid layer underneath that that's choked by 1 pixel. So if I zoom in and turn that off, you can see. Or if I go to this layer and make it a little invisible, or actually if we move to the solid white above that, so you can see it's just cut in by 1 pixel around it. And then let me delete the solid white, turn on the original artwork. Let's do the one that says generate solid white choke 2. I'll put this above it, so you can see that one cut in by 2 pixels, okay, from the edges. It puts the white as solid underneath all that. If your printer allows you to do a gradient white, now you can do gradient white choke with 1 or 2. So let's do a 2 pixel gradient white choke. All right, now you can see that's a gradient underneath the original art. And you would just change this. You actually could go to a channel instead. So sometimes the rips that you print with might want to have the artwork and then nothing else there, and then a channel of the gradient. So if I have just that selected, I could do gradient. Yeah, all I got to do is create the one that I want. Let's say generate gradient white choke 2. And then I can say white layer to spot channel. And it should put that right there like that. So it pushed it over to a white underlay spot channel. And then that channel is sort of mixed over that when you have it viewed like this. But you have a file that has transparent background, including a spot channel for the underlay. some rips work that way. So it's like I can't really guarantee with these actions how you're going to export the file and set it up for your rip. But now there's a lot more options to give you things that are sort of what the rip would want to have as a file ready to go. Now that we've got this one like this, I'm just going to go back and show you guys that's using the custom thing under full auto or user choice. For the custom patterns, you can do things like choose a pattern of your own choice. Like let's do the custom shirt one, and we'll select this again. Got that fuzziness. Okay. Let's have some more of that fading out. And it's going to go through this time and stop and ask me what kind of pattern I want to use. And here's where I'm going to select it there, go into this, and we can choose the patterns out of here. Like I've got these triangle ones or those noise ones, and this sort of like crescent moon shaped one. In the other patterns file now that comes with the 1.2.5 update, there are a pattern pack 2. Okay, and this one has a whole bunch of other stuff in it. We'll go over that maybe in a separate video. But with this one, I can now pick, like, let's say the triangle halftones, and we can set the scale, you know, and like sort of do something more artistic, right? So let's just do it like this, and we'll say okay. And the angle, I don't really care. I'll just hit enter twice on that when it pops up, 45 degrees. And change the background so you can see this. And so now it's actually faded out the art, but it's done so with these triangle halftones. So that's kind of cool, right? And it's like you've got all these options with the custom patterns to do stuff however you want, really. You could set up your own custom shapes and do things using really a lot of variability. But all this stuff is sort of like going through step by step, right? You're going through one step at a time, picking one of the ones you want to use. The things that are in this real-time halftones group, and I've set it up as a separate folder now that comes with the software. So under the real-time halftones, this 1.0.4 action set, it's just, and I think I've got it updated within the 1.2.5 is 1.0.5. So this one now is updated so that you can just do it right within the main action set. And I'm going to show you guys how powerful this really is. So if I just do the real-time halftone pattern layer, it's going to let me pick a color from the art. So I'll select that background color, hit OK, and I'll just select it again. All right. And it's going to go through and process things into a layer group. And now this layer group is basically a real-time version of the halftone cutout. All right. So what I can do is show you basically how it works. It's using the custom color there. The replacement color I'm going to change. It's almost like the shirt color background so we can see it. The replacement color, I can change to anything. It doesn't change how this is affected. And I might want to increase the resolution because it doesn't do that as part of the process. So it's at 300 dpi, but we'll go with it. What I can do to the pattern layer now is open this up, and I can change the angle in real time. So I can actually like move that, change it to, let's say, 22.5 degrees, and I can change the scale of the dots in real time. Okay. So you see what I'm saying? Let me zoom in on that. Sorry for the little beep. And you can see that basically I can change the scale of these halftone dots to be smaller or larger, and it's editable still. So you can see what you're doing with it. Let me go ahead and I can choose any of these patterns and change it up, like the line halftone, and change the scale. Okay, I could maybe do like 0 degrees lines or 90 degree lines, or choose these other patterns in there, like the triangles, and then change the size how I want, right? 45 degrees, maybe 3%, like that. Okay, and any of the patterns I want to use from here, including the other ones. But let's just go back to like the round dot, and we'll say maybe like 20. There's a way to determine for the resolution that you're at what actual LPI these percentages are, and that's in one of the files. I think I went over it in one of the first videos, but you would go into the extra tools and see this LPI calculator. And then because we're in 300 DPI, I'll click the 300 DPI file. And for the lines per inch, I want to have, let's say, 30. So I'm going to make sure I do about 15%. Okay, we'll do 15%. There we go. Or it's a little bit higher, maybe 16%. And we hit OK. And then let me show you in here, we can go to these levels adjustments and actually change it. Yeah, right here. Go to levels, and here's where I can actually adjust how much it's cutting out or keeping, right? And this is all in real time. So this is what I want to get you guys into seeing, that I'm not just trying to do stuff through the actions process or through the typical ways of working, but I think it's really helpful when you're working on a piece of art to go in and sort of have editable real-time adjustment of these things, right? And that's sort of what I'm getting at with the screen tone DTF. And I think I'll stop the video now, and we'll show that in some future. In the next video, I'll show you how to install the screen tone DTF software. But that's all about doing things in real time, not having to go through step by step. However, Photoshop is still where you could generate these images and prepare stuff maybe in specific resolution and LPI. There's so many options, but I don't want you guys to get locked into thinking you got to do things only one way. And so the other things, I'm going to teach you guys how to make this stuff just in videos, right? I don't really just want to have everything being about selling products. It's never been what my channel was about. And I'm going to teach you guys how to make this stuff on your own and make these custom real-time halftone groups and layers. We can actually change this from being halftones to just spot threshold. So it's actually a spot color cutout. And we could go in, change the levels again. And so this, using just this one button, it created this group where if you work with it the right way, you don't have to actually you don't have to process it like you're doing one thing at a time, and you just have to pick it, and when it's done, it's done. Here you can go in and sort of adjust things on your own. Let me show one more part before we finish this video of some of the new stuff that you've got. So let's say I had a new document, and let me just close this one. I'm not going to save it, it's okay. Image size, we got this 10 by 10. Let's do 300 DPI, make sure we're at the right resolution. Okay, and let's just try to generate another image real quick. Let's just do this lion. We'll do another. It's just basics. I'm not really trying to be creative with this part. Lion wearing headphones. That's it. Art, generate. A lot of times you're going to get images that you don't have a background already. It's not faded out to anything, and there's not just a simple solid color in the background, right? And so, even if we look at each of these, this one's a little bit easier. It's mostly solid. But let's say you had this one here, okay? I'm just going to do layer flatten image. And so I've built in some stuff now to create transparency fades already in the art ahead of time. Just put a border fade or a square fade into it. But I've even built it into the auto modes, and they don't always work exactly the way you want. But if you go to the user choice one, you can sort of control it. But I'll just show you DTF auto border fade. This is going to go through on an image that doesn't have any transparency and actually build the transparency in and convert it to halftone. So if I put a color now behind this, you can see what it did. And I might expand the canvas a little bit. So I'll go to the crop tool and sort of show you. But basically this took that square border artwork here, and it created a halftone fade border automatically, so that it's not, but it's just to the size of the art, to the shape of the art. It doesn't cut in too much. But to control that more, I could go and run the one that says user choice. So I could do DTF auto border halftone fade under the user choice section. And now it pops open the layer style that's actually being used to create this. And I can go to the inner shadow and adjust it more or less. So I could try to cut more of this stuff out, right? And then we can even go to the inner glow one. So it's actually using two different effects to do it. Inner shadow and inner glow, and they sort of work together. But inner glow I could do to cut out more or less of it that way. So control like the fade point here, right? And with the range, I could control to like keep more of it or less of it. Like so, hit OK. And then it goes through and it asks me to pick the options since it's the user choice mode one. And there you go. Now, if you had artwork and you really, you could just go to the art you have. Instead of being on the background like this, you could double click it, make it a layer, and you could just pull up like the eraser tool, right? And you go in and just start erasing around it. And as long as you like did things a certain way, okay, you could set it to a little bit percentage to try to get stuff to fade a little bit more. I don't want that much actually. Let's set it back to like 20. There we go. Okay. So if you had that kind of fade, just you erase and put it into the art, then you can just go right to the DTF prep for transparency, where you've already got the transparency in it, these green buttons here. I can just do full auto, throw it through. It's already got a transparent fade built into it, and there you go. It converts it to the halftones. But the cool part, again, with the real-time thing, if I undo all this, see, I was basically erasing the art and creating basically a transparency mask. You could still get the other art from it. You're not really destroying it when you're doing this because until you erase 100% from it, you usually are just doing things on a mask. So I could do layer mask from transparency. And then if I just disable the mask, you can see, but that's where I've erased 100%. So I have destroyed the art somewhat, right? Let's just go undo. Might have to, okay, right there. And this time I'm going to go through and use the real-time halftones eraser group. So let me just click it and show you guys what we're going to do. So now, and I can, I guess, pick the color that's going to be the background. I'll just set it to this lighter color. All right. Now I'm in a painting layer inside this group, and the original is on top, clipped to it. What I can do here, because there's this custom pattern layer on it, is I can brush. It has a brush already set for me. I'm in brush mode, and I can brush on this layer with black, and it'll actually put the halftones right there and show me what's happening. But this is all real time now. So I can go in here and just start adding it to erase it to the background and do it in a custom way. Let's increase the percentage. Okay, so we can get the 100% part faded out, but we can see what we're doing. And I can still go into this and change the scale and the angle. Let's do like 45. Okay, and we could even increase the resolution. We say, oops, we're in 300 DPI, right? I want cleaner dots. And maybe I need a custom resolution. Maybe I need it to be 720 DPI. So I'll just do nearest neighbor, hit OK. Actually, it doesn't really matter. The automatic mode can work because it's going to make the artwork upscale a little bit better. But you'll see, let me zoom out all the way. Go into this, and now you'll see when I zoom in, the dots are a little bit cleaner. Okay, not like perfect, but they're cleaner than they are in the 300 DPI one. And we can go into this and go back to this painting layer, right? And I can essentially get the brush tool and do this stuff however I want, right? Let me get not such a big brush there, maybe 1,000 pixels. And we'll go opacity about 50%. Maybe less. You could totally see how it works. It's really interesting, right? Just a little bit of percentage, and it puts just a little bit of dots in there. When I go a higher percentage, it's going to make the dots bigger, right? So it's essentially the dots are in the same position, but when you erase more, you're just making them smaller until they're either not there or they just, and that's basically what you get with the real-time things. You have this precise control over what you're doing to the art and seeing the halftones that you'd be printing all at the same time. And it's just sort of like you're simulating what you're going to get before you go and just run through. You don't have to like treat it like you need to pick a specific action and it has to be the perfect one. And then when you go through, it's like it's got to be done right the first time. You can go through here and custom effect the fade you want, like you're doing the erasing, but you're not just doing it to the transparency. You're seeing like where the halftones would be, right? So that's another one of the modes, just one option you have in the new way to use the Max Chroma DTF Auto Prepper Halftone Rip. And again, this is going to come with, just for $10 right now, you're getting all of this stuff. And so really my job is just to start making as many videos as I can for you guys to go over it all. And a lot of my videos are going to go over how to do things for free, just because you take the time to watch the video and you're going to learn things that you might not even need to buy one of the products for. But thank you for watching this video along with me while I try to dig into it, show you guys what I've been doing with the updates to the Auto Prepper Halftone Rip, how you get all these new things with it, and just digging into some of the ways to use it. So we'll see you guys in the next video, and again, it's just going to be a whole new series on all the stuff I've been working on. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.